Pull it apart. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. Before we get started, another reminder, Arlocast is a thing. I did it. I started a podcast. This is a weekly podcast. Every week, we'll have a few friendly guests from around game stuff that you probably pay attention to. We have 2 episodes already. If all goes according to plan, we will have a new episode every single Monday. It's just a thing now. Arlocast, it's a thing. Go see it. It's on every podcast platform. It's on YouTube. Watch it on YouTube. Listen on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Go! Please. I love you. Thank you. So anyway, on to the Nintendo news. Not a massive week. Not a big news week. This is definitely the quiet following the E3. So we've been following this story for a while now. Nintendo rolled out an update to the Switch that ended up causing people problems. They then took back the rollout of the update, but then rolled it out again, despite the fact that people were still having problems, namely not being able to download stuff. In the case of Kane, my editor, I talked about how his Switch completely bricked when it got updated. Could be coincidence, absolutely. But it is weird. He updated it, it died, and they're demanding he pays a whole ton of money to get it fixed, which really stinks. But it seems that Nintendo has potentially fixed the error. I'm getting some people saying that they have. People are able to download stuff when they couldn't before. Still not 100% sure, so I would really love it if you go down to the comments of this here video. Let us know. Were you having this problem? If you were, is it fixed for you? Is it everything back to normal? Well, I hope that it is, because we got new games coming out. We got Mario Golf coming out like tonight, so I hope people are able to play it. On multiple occasions now, Doug Bowser has been asked about the concept of, new Switch hardware, which is funny. Like, if I'm gonna do an interview with somebody and I know they're not gonna answer the question, it's like, why even ask the question? You know he's not going to answer a question if you ask him about a Switch revision or whatever, but he gave another non-answer. But the reason I bring it up here is not because what he says is interesting, more I want to answer. Like, he in turn asks some questions of the observer, and I want to answer those questions. Okay, so here we go. Here's his quote. He goes, "We are always looking at technology and how technology can enhance gameplay experiences." Okay, yeah. It's not technology for technology's sake. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. No one's asking for technology for technology's sake. We're not just looking for a newer, shinier Switch just so we can brag that we spent $400 on a Switch or whatever. We got some reasons. Anyway, it's how specifically can technology enhance a gameplay experience? Well, I have an idea. It's making it run at a consistent frame rate and display at a higher resolution so it looks better on the TV. There's your answer there. He goes on, I'm being so snarky here, I'm sorry. He goes on, and then where do you apply that technology? Well, you apply it to the current Switch platform and all of its games. There you go. Do you want to apply it on current existing hardware or platforms, or do you want to wait for the next platform? Another easy answer. This one now. We don't want to wait. Switch games, they're struggling to run. The more games come out that are just like, oh, just barely, oh man, it would be so great if it could just run a little smoother. It's just more and more all the time. This one, we don't want to wait 3 years for the Switch 2 before we have games that run correctly. And then there might be new Switch games that don't run correctly on that thing. Finally, and then what's the right gameplay experience with that? The answer is all of them. The answer is any game that can't, you get the idea, any game that can't run at a consistent frame rate, whether it's 60 or 30 and 1080p resolution. Simple asks as far as, whatever. Anyway, moving on. Nintendo has put together this very fun little infographic. I'm sure you've seen it floating around. Media outlets are going crazy about it because it's just, I think if anything, it's because it's actually pretty impressive. Like, this year is a lot like 2017, where it's just like, even if a lot of them are kind of like small titles, it's something notable. Like, every month there's something notable. Like, just look at this. We already got Bravely Default, Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, Pokemon Snap, Miitopia, Monster Hunter Rise, Famicom Detective Plug, Game Builder Garage, like, not all big, huge, massive titles, but a few pretty big, massive titles. Now we're getting the Mario Golf, the No More Heroes, the Zelda Skyward Sword, In the fall, the WarioWare, the Metroid, in the holiday, the Pokemon, the Mario Party, the Advance Wars. Yeah, like, not a ton of games that are gonna make a huge, massive, big, gigantic splash, but like, you can't always expect those kind of things. You know, not every day you're gonna get a Smash or a Zelda or Mario Kart or whatever. And then like, 2022 is already looking pretty good. You just like, look at it, just Splatoon 3, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, Mario & Rabbids. Like that, considering we're only halfway through this year, like it's good that we will go into 2022. Oh, of course, Breath of the Wild 2. I guess they didn't put it on there because it doesn't have a logo or anything yet, but like, oh my gosh, like the last couple years we've gone into not really knowing anything, and that felt really weird. We know a ton of stuff, a ton of great stuff that's coming next year, so that's pretty great. Makoto Asada, who worked on Famicom Detective Club, was talking about the idea of maybe wanting to make a new game in the series someday. Says, our goal for the project was to create the pinnacle of 2D text adventure games, so we actually used development techniques originally planned for other games as well. Thanks to Nintendo and their development team, we made the best game we possibly could, but looking back, we were quite reckless. How will we ever make something this good again? We developed a fair amount of know-how working on the game, expertise I'd like to one day use on a new Famicom Detective Club. So that's pretty cool. I still haven't played the games. Not trying to snark about it again, but in all honesty, it's just they're very expensive, and I have so many other things to play that I can't just casually buy them. The idea of making a new one is very cool, though. It almost makes me wish they had, like, rebranded the games that they put out, just because Famicom Detective Club is a very old-fashioned and kind of awkward name. Like, I almost wish they'd kind of like modernized it in a way so that that would open the door for them to do more. They could rebrand if they made a sequel, but you know what I'm trying to say. That'd be cool though. They end up making more. Nintendo has released a new trailer for Skyward Sword HD, which from the YouTuber perspective is great because that means just new B-roll. we didn't have a lot to go off of, but we're always talking about Skyward Sword, so B-roll for videos is excellent. But most importantly though, they've been going over the quality of life enhancements that the game will have. They're still being a little bit vague about it, but basically they've said enhanced performance, okay, we knew that, improved motion controls with the Joy-Con controllers, and all new button controls allowing you to choose your style of play, which is funny because every time they open their mouths about this, we switch back and forth between it sounding like Pro Controller support, definitely you can play with a Pro Controller, or not, is it only in handheld mode? I don't know anymore. I just gotta wait and see. Most importantly though, various quality of life enhancements, including refinements to player tutorials and general guidance throughout the adventure. This is very, very, very good news. We don't know how far they're gonna take it. That's what I'm waiting to see. Because, like, from my perspective, Fi's, just the way that she gets in your way and stops you all the time, it goes so far, so many times beyond what is reasonable, that I feel like a small change here is not really gonna cut it. It needs substantial changes. So that's another thing I'm really keeping my fingers crossed about, that they really mean it. I want them to refine the heck out of player tutorials and general guidance. Speaking of Zelda, apparently during E3, Breath of the Wild 2 was the most, at least at one time, was the most talked about game on Twitter. Apparently Elden Ring had the trailer with the most views, but I suppose just in like trending topics and people using the keywords, Breath of the Wild 2 won, which is pretty interesting because on my end, I mostly just saw people talking about Metroid more than anything, but that's pretty cool. Speaking of Metroid and E3 and all that though, apparently Metroid was topping the GameStop pre-order charts the week of E3, which is obviously very, very, very cool. It didn't have a lot of competition because not a lot of companies announced a lot. They mostly talked about games that had already been announced, whereas Metroid was like one of the only big, huge things that was newly announced and all that stuff. So it makes sense, but that's still great. It's a niche series. It's the little series that could, and so just seeing it at the top of any chart at all is incredible and amazing. Please let it sell. Nintendo has announced that Splatoon 2 will lose access to the online lounge feature, which you could use with a Nintendo Switch Online app. This was I had to look up to see what this did. I never used the app for Splatoon. Like, it doesn't provide a lot, so you end up just using your other social media anyway. but apparently players have been able to use the online lounge feature of the Nintendo Switch Online app to arrange Splatoon 2 online battles using their smart device, such as by sending a URL link that allows social media friends to join a room. It sounds like a cool feature, but I guess not a lot of people were using it, so they're taking it away in July. But I mean, anything they take away from Splatoon 2 is not too bad, because we're getting Splatoon 3 next year, so I don't know, there you go. So Hot Wheels is releasing a pretty rad Rainbow Road set. I gotta say, this thing's pretty cool. This is one of those ones that kind of like, that tempts me. I don't end up buying Mario toys, but every once in a while I see one that's pretty darn cool. It's gonna be available soon. The set is $120. You can get it at Target. Apparently, even for $120, it only comes with Mario and King Boo. You gotta buy the... You always with the microtransactions. Always gotta buy the stuff separately. Whatever, looks pretty awesome. Last week, some Lego Mario stuff leaked, and so we kind of tiptoed around showing it, but now it's been officially revealed in a new little trailer thing for, you know, the Lego Mario, Lego Luigi, and how they interact, and at the end, they reveal the big Bowser's airship, which is pretty cool. I mean, look at that. That's pretty cool. A big Lego Bowser's airship. I just really like Bowser's airship. I don't know. I just think it's very cool. Nintendo has announced a new partnership with Forever Entertainment. I had to look it up. I had to go to their website to see like exactly what they do. They've put a lot of games on Switch, but not really any that are like, they're not like known for the one thing. I know the Nintendo Life article mentioned the Panzer Dragoon remake, but it's like, they really just do a ton of stuff, like tons and tons of stuff, little indie stuff, bigger stuff, I don't really know. But apparently, Forever Entertainment will be granted significant financial support from Nintendo to release several titles on Nintendo Switch. We don't really know exactly what that means. Does that mean they're gonna fund new games? Probably not, but are they just gonna fund ports of games or remakes or something? Not really sure exactly, but it means more Switch games, so okay. They just work with so many different places all over the industry. I don't exactly know what Nintendo would want with them specifically when they're already putting so much on Switch, but I don't know. I mean, that's why, if anything, this is interesting just because of that. Like, what will change beyond what they've already been doing? They apparently have some sort of plan. Pokemon Go made a lot of changes last year to the game because of the global situation, making it easier for people to play remotely without, you know, going out and doing stuff and seeing people and all that. But apparently they are beginning to roll back a lot of those changes. I'm kind of torn on it. It's like, obviously, you don't want to roll back this stuff too quickly, but I see why. I mean, in a lot of places in the world, things are largely returning to normal, or at least, like, a person can go out on walks, you know what I mean? You can go out on walks even if you're not making contact with people, so I sort of understand it, but then you don't want to do it too early because is that reckless? You don't want something to happen. And then I understand that the general vision of the game is to get people out and moving around, but at the same time, this is great for accessibility. And then I sort of see why they want to go back, but then I sort of don't, because they've made more money with these changes than ever. The last 1 or 2 years of Pokemon Go have made the most money they have ever made, like in the history of the company. So I don't really know why they want to roll them back. It's weird. You could probably talk about it all day. It's kind of complicated, but whatever. They're doing it, apparently. I don't know enough about all of these features and changes and stuff because, as I say, I've never played Pokemon Go before. But, you know, the remote stuff. They're making it, they're kind of rolling it back, bringing some changes to raid battles, just some, like, general stuff, though. They're bringing in player achievements, so, like, people can, like, whoever contributed, people can be, like, showcased and be like, hey, this person did this, and I don't know, that's kind of cute. Speaking of Pokemon, a couple of people were busted for leaking Sword and Shield stuff back before the game released. Apparently these people worked at a strategy guide company. They were supposed to be printing it, and they took pictures of all this stuff and put it on Discord, shared it with everybody, and that did not make the Pokemon company happy. So apparently these people have got to pay $150K each, which is, I mean, it's better than like millions or whatever. Some people are having to pay for like these ROM sites. But that's still quite a lot. At the same time, though, don't leak stuff. Maybe, possibly, don't leak stuff. I don't know what else I can say about that. these giant companies are spending millions of dollars on these things, and they have the exact way they want to handle those things. Just don't get in the way. Don't get in the way just for the attention, please. Finally, I want to say a while back we heard about this. It could just be that we didn't have the specifics, but apparently Pokemon is releasing a new set for their trading card game, Pokemon Celebrations, but instead of like a traditional like set where you open packs and stuff, it's more just like a collection of cards you gotta get in other ways, and it is going to include 45 cards, 25 of which are reprints of old cards, including, probably most famously, the base set Charizard. Very beautiful. So that's fun, even though it's just, I mean, it goes without saying. It literally goes without saying. What are the scalpers? They're gonna have a heyday with this. Oh my gosh. Well, that's it for the news this week. I love ya. Thanks for watching. Go listen to Arlocast. I know not everybody is into podcasts, but we worked super hard on it, and we're super happy about it, and we're super excited about it, and the feedback has been great. So if you want to check it out, YouTube, all the other podcast platforms. Thank you. I love you. Goodbye.